My wife told me, "Not in the mood, so stop acting like I owe you my body just because we're married." So I gave her exactly what she wanted, a husband who didn't want her. Now she's wondering why I never came back. Hey, Reddit, I've been reading stories here for years, but I never thought I'd post one myself. Mine isn't about cheating or explosive drama. It's about what happens when love slowly fades and one person starts acting like that's completely normal. I'm not here for sympathy. I just want to share how I learned the difference between peace and emptiness. Honestly, if you told me a year ago that my marriage would fall apart without a single fight, I would have laughed. My wife Lauren and I were solid. 5 years together, 3 years married. We had our rhythm, you know. Same grocery day, weekend hikes, movie nights, and yeah, intimacy was always there. Not constant, not wild, just natural, easy. It was part of how we stayed connected. She used to initiate just as much as I did. There was laughter teasing real affection. Then a few months ago something shifted. I can't even point to the exact moment. It was like someone flipped a switch and all the warmth just disappeared. At first it was small things. She stopped holding my hand during movies. She'd pull away when I kissed her. Then one night, I reached over in bed just to touch her arm like I always did, and she sighed. Not tired, irritated. "I'm exhausted," she muttered. I pulled back a little. "You okay?" "I'm tired." "Yeah, I heard that. I meant is something wrong?" She rolled over, facing away from me. "Nothing's wrong. Stop being annoying. I can't do clingy right now." Clingy. That word hit me harder than it should have. Since when did wanting to be close to my own wife make me clingy? She had never talked to me like that before. I just lay there staring at the ceiling, trying to convince myself she was just having a bad day. The next morning, she was completely normal. Made coffee, checked her phone, humming like nothing happened. I wanted to bring it up, but I didn't. Part of me didn't want to start a fight over something that might have been nothing, but over the next few days it got worse. She wasn't mean, just distant. Her "love you" started sounding automatic, like a habit, not a feeling. She'd sit on the couch with her laptop, earbuds, and completely zoned out. I'd talk. She'd nod, but I could tell she wasn't really hearing me. That Friday night, I tried again. I walked up behind her while she was cooking, kissed her shoulder, and said softly, "Missed you today." She froze like I'd done something wrong. "I'm literally cooking right now, can you not?" I stepped back. "It's just a hug, Lauren." She didn't even look at me. "You don't have to be all over me all the time." All the time, I stood there thinking. I couldn't even remember the last time I touched her that week. I didn't argue. I just set the table in silence. After dinner, she went to bed early. "Headache," she said. I stayed on the couch trying to make sense of it all. Work stress? Hormones? Something I said? I ran every possible scenario in my head, but none of it explained that tone. That sharp, irritated tone, like my presence itself, was bothering her. By Saturday night, I couldn't keep it in anymore. I called my best friend, Randy. He's been married almost 10 years, 2 kids. Figured he might have some perspective. He picked up right away. "Yo, what's up?" I told him everything. The distance, the attitude, how she suddenly seemed allergic to affection. He was quiet for a second. Then he said, "I hate to ask this, man, but is there a chance there's someone else?" I rubbed my forehead. I thought about that. But there's no signs, no weird behavior, no hiding, no late nights. She's just different. "Sometimes that's how it starts," he said. "They check out emotionally first, then justify everything later." "Lauren's not like that," I said a little too fast. "I'm not saying she's cheating," he replied. "I'm saying something's going on, and she's not telling you." We talked for another 20 minutes. Nothing he said was new, but hearing it out loud made it feel heavier. After we hung up, I just sat there staring at the blank TV, thinking about how crazy it was that I even had to consider something like that. I looked down the hallway at the bedroom door. Lights off. Part of me wanted to go in there, wake her up, and just ask, "What's happening to us?" But I already knew how that would go. Defensiveness, attitude, another comment about me being clingy, so I stayed where I was, in the quiet, realizing something I didn't want to admit. For the first time since we met, I had no idea what was going on inside my wife's head, and that scared me more than anything. I didn't want to become that guy, paranoid, insecure, turning into some detective over nothing. But the way she looked at me lately, like I was interrupting her life, it was driving me insane, so I made a decision. I stopped asking and started watching, quietly. That Monday, I paid attention to everything. When she left for work, when she came back, what she did at night, who she texted, not to catch her, just to understand. Mornings were normal. She left around 8. Same routine. Evenings? Different. If I got home first, I'd greet her at the door. She'd smile, but it felt fake, like the kind of smile you give your boss. We'd eat dinner, talk about work, random things, but the moment I tried to close the gap, even just touching her hand, she'd tense up. Every time. After a week, I started seeing a pattern. When I kept my distance, she was fine, relaxed, laughing, telling stories, even teasing me about small things like how I load the dishwasher wrong. But the second I tried anything romantic, a kiss, a compliment, even a light touch, she shut down. Immediately. That's what confused me the most. She wasn't avoiding me completely. She'd still text me during the day, send memes, talk about groceries. Emotionally, she was there. Physically, she was gone. Like intimacy had suddenly become uncomfortable, or worse, unwanted. There were still no signs of anything else. No secret messages, no late calls, no strange behavior. Everything looked too normal. That's when Randy's words came back. Sudden coldness doesn't come from nowhere. So maybe it wasn't another man. Maybe it was me. Maybe I'd done something and didn't even realize it. I started questioning everything. My tone, my words, my presence. One Thursday evening, she came home early. She was in a good mood, talking about a co-worker's engagement party. So I didn't push, no flirting, no touching, just listened. And just like that, she relaxed, like a switch flipped. I noticed it immediately. When I don't want her, she opens up. When I do, she shuts down. That thought stuck with me. Maybe she wasn't cheating. Maybe she was just replacing me emotionally. Someone at work, maybe. Someone easier. Less pressure. But again, no proof. Nothing. Then came Saturday morning. She was in the shower. Her laptop was open on the couch. She usually closed everything, but this time she didn't. I sat there staring at it. For a full minute, arguing with myself. I wasn't the type to snoop. I hated the idea of it. But at the same time, I was tired of not knowing. If there's something there, I need to see it. So I checked. Emails first. Work stuff. Subscriptions. Messages with her sister about redecorating the guest room. Nothing. Social media. Normal posts. Books. Dogs. Self-care. Messages. I scrolled slowly. No flirting. No hidden chats. No deleted threads. Nothing. And somehow that hit harder than if I'd found something. Because at least cheating would have explained things. At least there would have been a reason. But this? This was just emptiness. I closed the laptop right before the shower stopped. My hands were shaking. Not from guilt, from frustration. She walked out, wrapped in a towel, smiled lightly. "Can you hand me my phone?" Her tone was so casual, too casual. I handed it to her, watched her scroll as she walked away. No hesitation, no guilt, just normal. That night, I tried again. She was in bed on her phone. "You've been distant lately," I said quietly. She didn't even look up. You're imagining things. I'm not. You barely touch me anymore, she sighed. Not everything's about that, Jake. You make it weird when you turn everything into something dramatic. I didn't argue. There was no point. After she fell asleep, I sat on the edge of the bed, thinking about how insane it felt to be married and still feel like a stranger in your own home. There was no other man, no betrayal, no secret hiding anywhere. Just nothing. And somehow that felt worse. It felt like she had slowly decided I didn't matter anymore and just forgot to tell me. So I did something simple. I stopped trying. No hugs, no kisses, no compliments, nothing. Just routine. I wanted to see if she'd notice. She didn't. If anything, she seemed lighter, happier. She smiled more, laughed more, talked more. The less I wanted her, the more alive she became, and I couldn't understand it. How does your own wife seem happier when you treat her like a roommate? That went on for about 2 weeks. Then one morning at breakfast something shifted again. We were eating like usual. Eggs, toast, coffee. She was scrolling her phone, half listening. Out of nowhere, I asked, "You ever think about when we might start trying for kids?" Her thumb froze mid-scroll. She looked up slowly. "What? You remember we talked about it? After year 3? Her face tightened. "Yeah, about that. What about it?" "I don't think I want that anymore." I blinked. "What do you mean you don't want that anymore? We always said—" "I changed my mind." "Changed your mind when—" She sighed like she was tired of explaining. "Jake, can we not do this right now? I just don't see myself having kids anymore. It's not me." "It's not me?" I repeated. "Lauren, we planned our future around this. We bought a house with extra rooms because you said—" She cut me off. "Well, I changed. People change. Sorry if that's inconvenient." "Inconvenient?" I kept my voice calm barely. "That's not like changing your favorite color. This is huge. Don't make it dramatic," she snapped, grabbing her plate. "I'm just being honest. Being honest would have been saying this years ago." She stood up, jaw tight. "You're making me feel cornered. Can we not?" And just like that she walked out. Conversation over, I sat there staring at her empty chair, at the half-finished coffee, at the silence. I wasn't even angry, just stunned. All those nights we talked about names, schools, the kind of parents we'd be. Gone. With one word. Later that night, I tried again. She was on the couch, watching something. I sat next to her. "Lauren, we need to talk about earlier." She didn't look away. "I said I don't want kids. What else is there to say?" "Maybe not just about kids," I said. "About us. You've been pulling away for months. We barely touch. We barely talk. Now you're rewriting our future like it's a shopping list. Something's not right." She rolled her eyes. "You're overthinking again." "I'm not overthinking, I'm observing," I said. "You've changed completely. You act like I'm an obligation instead of your husband." She let out a dry laugh. "Oh, so now I'm the villain because I'm not acting the way you want." "That's not what I said." "Yes, it is. You're mad. I'm not obsessed with you like before." I leaned forward slightly. "I'm not asking for obsession. I'm asking for effort." "Effort?" She scoffed. "Jake, we have a house, jobs, bills. That's effort. Marriage isn't supposed to feel like some movie all the time." "This isn't about movies," I said, my voice steady. "This is about us not even trying anymore." She sighed, dramatic, then turned the volume up on the TV. "God, you're exhausting sometimes." That was it, the tone, the dismissiveness. I reached over and turned the TV off. "Fine," I said. "Then let's try something practical. How about couples therapy?" She laughed short, sharp like I'd just told the worst joke she'd ever heard. We don't need therapy just because I don't want sex all the time. My jaw tightened. That's not why I said therapy. She smirked. Sure it isn't. I stared at her for a second. You really think everything's fine, don't you? Everything is fine, she said without hesitation. You're just making problems where there aren't any. For a moment, I didn't even know what to say. She sounded so certain, so convinced. It made me question my own reality. All right, I said finally. If you ever decide you want to talk like adults, I'll be here. She shrugged, picked the remote back up. I'm watching this. I didn't argue. I just walked out, went to my office and closed the door behind me, sat down in my chair and stared at the wall. For an hour, that laugh stayed with me. That dismissive, almost smug laugh when I mentioned therapy. It wasn't just that she disagreed, it was that she didn't care. She didn't want to fix anything. That night, while she slept soundly beside me, I lay there awake, staring into the dark, and something finally clicked. This wasn't just about affection or attraction. It wasn't even about kids anymore. It was about her shutting down everything. Every plan, every dream, every piece of us that used to exist. And the worst part? She wasn't confused. She wasn't struggling. She was content. Content in a version of marriage where I didn't matter. Another week passed like that. I started working late most nights. It was easier than sitting across from her pretending everything was fine. When I did come home early, she'd already eaten Thursday night. I got home around 7. She was in the kitchen making dinner. Pasta. Her favorite. I stood in the doorway for a moment just watching her. She was humming to herself, completely at peace. That used to make me happy. Now it just made me feel like a ghost. We sat down to eat. She gave me a small smile. You've been less intense lately. I like this version of us. Less intense? I asked. Yeah, she said casually, taking a bite. It's just peaceful. No pressure, no expectations. Feels like we're finally comfortable. I looked at her for a long second. You're happy like this? Yeah, she said simply. Aren't you? No, I said. Not even close. Her fork froze midair. What do you mean? I mean, I'm not happy, Lauren. I've been trying to pretend I am, but this... I gestured between us. This isn't a marriage anymore. She rolled her eyes. Oh my God, here we go again. Here we go again? I repeated, calm but firm. We haven't talked about this in weeks. You said you wanted peace. I gave you peace. Now you're calling it happiness while I feel like a stranger in my own home. You're being dramatic, she snapped. Just because I don't want to jump into bed every night doesn't mean I don't love you. This isn't about sex. Really? Because it sure sounds like it. Every time we talk, it comes back to that. It's about connection, I said. Intimacy isn't just physical. It's how we show love, not just say it. She laughed. No humor in it at all. You're unbelievable. You think love is measured by how often we touch? That's so shallow, Jake. You're twisting it, I said evenly. I'm saying I need to feel wanted by the person I married. You act like that's selfish. Because it is selfish, she shot back. You only care about what you're not getting. You don't care about how I feel. How you feel, I repeated quietly. I've spent months trying to figure that out. You shut me out completely, and the second I bring it up, you make me the problem. She slammed her fork down. You are the problem. You're obsessed with everything that's missing instead of appreciating what we have. I work, I come home, I share my life with you. What else do you want? I want my wife, I said quietly, not a roommate who happens to wear my ring. She let out a dry laugh. Maybe you should have married someone who wants to play house every night. I'm not that person. Yeah, I said softly. I'm starting to see that. Her face hardened. What's that supposed to mean? It means I've been holding on to a version of you that actually cared about us. The one who wanted a life together, not just a routine. She leaned back, arms crossed. So what? Now you're threatening to leave because you're not getting enough attention? I shook my head. I'm not threatening anything. I'm being honest. Honest? She repeated mockingly. You think you're the only one struggling? You think it's easy for me, constantly being pushed to do things I don't feel like doing? I'm not pushing you, I said firmly. I stopped pushing months ago. You wanted space. I gave it to you. You wanted quiet. I gave you that too. And you know what? I added. You're still unhappy. You just call it peace. She glared at me, breathing harder now. You're unbelievable. You twist everything. You make me feel guilty for not being some perfect wife who worships you. I never asked for worship, I said. I asked for partnership. She stood up, voice rising. You just want control. That's what this is. You can't handle that I'm not bending to your needs anymore. I looked at her steadily. You know what's crazy? I've never once tried to control you. You, on the other hand, decided that every normal part of marriage, affection, closeness, communication is optional when it stops suiting you. She pointed at me like I was a child. You're twisting my words again. No, I said quietly. I'm just finally calling them what they are. She stared at me for a few seconds. Then her voice went cold. If you're that miserable, Jake, then leave. The room went completely still. Only sound was the low hum of the refrigerator. Is that what you want? I asked. I want peace, she said instantly, and you clearly can't give it to me. I nodded slowly, studying her face. No anger, no sadness, just finality. Okay, I said. Then I won't stand in the way of your peace. Her expression flickered for just a second, something like confusion, maybe surprise. But I didn't stay long enough to figure it out. I stood up, took my plate to the sink, rinsed it. She didn't say another word. That was the night I knew. I was done. Not angry, not heartbroken, just clear. If she wanted a life without pressure, without closeness, without me, I'd make sure she got exactly that. The next morning, I woke up feeling different. Not calm, not emotional, just done. While she got ready for work, I sat at the kitchen table with my coffee. She said goodbye like it was any other day, leaned in, kissed the air near my cheek, and walked out. That tiny gap between us said everything. The second the door closed, I opened my laptop, typed in divorce attorneys. Seeing the word on the screen felt strange, but I didn't hesitate. I found a reputable firm nearby, booked a consultation for the next morning. No second thoughts. After the call, I looked around the house. Our house. It felt empty, like a showroom. Every room staged, perfect, lifeless. Her candles, her books, her little arrangements. I could barely find any trace of myself anymore, so I went to the closet and started packing. Slowly, carefully. Shirts, shoes, watch, chargers. Not everything. Just what was mine. No drama, no slammed suitcases, no yelling, no tears. Just a man quietly detaching from a life he didn't recognize anymore. Every now and then I'd pause. Look at something that used to matter. A framed photo from our honeymoon. A card from our first anniversary. The blanket we picked together at Target. Now, they just looked like props from someone else's life. By noon, my side of the closet was almost empty. Hangers left behind. The space looked hollow. I sat on the edge of the bed for a long time, thinking about what to say. I didn't owe her a long explanation. I'd already said everything that mattered. She just never listened. So I grabbed a notepad and wrote, "You wanted a roommate. I want a wife." That was it. Clean. Final. True. I left the note on the kitchen counter, right where she'd see it. Then I took off my ring. held it in my palm for a moment. Simple band. Nothing fancy. It used to mean something. Now it just felt like a reminder of how easily people stop caring. I didn't throw it away. I drove downtown to a small pawn shop. The guy behind the counter looked at it, gave me a fair price. I walked out feeling lighter. Then I drove to my brother's place. Other side of town, he opened the door, looked at me once and didn't ask a single question, just stepped aside. Spare room's open. Later that evening, we sat on the back porch. I told him everything. The distance, the silence, the fights that never happened but still broke everything. He didn't interrupt, just listened. At the end, he nodded. Man, you held on longer than most would've. I shrugged. I kept thinking she'd come around. He gave a small, tired smile. People like that don't come around. They get comfortable. He was right. That night, I lay in the guest room staring at the ceiling. The quiet felt different. Not painful, not heavy, just there. I expected guilt, sadness, something, but it didn't come. Just clarity. Around 9 o'clock my phone buzzed. Her name. I let it ring. Then a voicemail. Then another. Then another. By the third one, I gave in. First message. Hey, where are you? Your stuff's gone. What's going on? Call me. Second sharper. This is ridiculous, Jake. Whatever you're trying to prove, just stop. You can't just leave without talking. Third louder. You don't get to do this. We're married. You're acting like a child. Then a shift. Her voice cracked a little. If I did something wrong, we can fix it. Just call me. By the fifth panic. I know you're getting these. Please talk to me. Don't throw everything away over this. Sixth anger again. Fine. Be childish. But you'll have to come back eventually. You can't just walk away from responsibility. And then the last one. Quiet. Uncertain. Did I say something wrong? I thought we were happy. I don't understand. I stared at my phone for a long time after that. Not because I didn't know what to do, but because I finally understood something. She really didn't get it. To her, this was one fight, one misunderstanding, not months of distance, not months of choosing comfort over connection. I played that last message again. Her voice was softer, shaking, but it still wasn't regret. It was confusion, because her version of peace had just collapsed. I typed one message, short, simple. You wanted peace. You have it now. Then I blocked her number. That night, for the first time in months, I slept. No overthinking, no hoping, no dread, just silence, the kind that finally felt right. But silence never stays quiet for long. 2 days later, she showed up at my job. I was in a meeting when a coworker peeked in. Jake? There's a woman at the front desk asking for you. Says it's urgent. I already knew. When I walked out, she was standing there, arms crossed, that same mix of anger and disbelief on her face. The receptionist looked uncomfortable. Jake, we need to talk, she said. I kept my voice steady. You shouldn't be here, Lauren. You left me no choice, she snapped. You disappear, block my number, and expect me to just what? Pretend this isn't happening. I glanced toward the hallway. You can't do this here. I'll wait in the parking lot then, she said, firm, unshaken. But you will talk to me. She didn't leave. Not until security stepped in. 15 minutes later, they escorted her out of the lobby. My manager didn't even look surprised. Just glanced over and said, Rough week, huh? Then went right back to work. They logged the whole incident. Issued a no trespass notice. Meaning, if she showed up again, it would count as harassment. 3 days later, she showed up again. Different outfit. Same scene. Security walked her out again. Logged it as a second violation. Told me next time they'd involve the police. That's when I called my lawyer. Told him to speed everything up. She responded by contesting the divorce. Her claim? That I'd abandoned her over sex. When I read the paperwork, I actually laughed, out loud. It was written like I'd stormed out over one missed date night. Like everything fell apart because she said, "Not tonight" once. Her lawyer painted me as emotionally stunted, like I couldn't handle a mature relationship. My lawyer, Harris, older guy, calm, steady read. Through it all, then looked at me and said, "She's trying to frame this as moral abandonment, common tactic when there's no real fault. She has no idea what this was actually about," I said. "She doesn't need to," he replied. "That's my job." He built the case around emotional neglect, loss of support. We had everything. Texts, emails, notes I'd written during those months. Nothing dramatic, just patterns, proof of indifference. Harris told me judges see that kind of thing all the time. Slow withdrawal, quiet disconnection. When the first hearing came, she showed up looking composed, like she'd practiced the role. Neat blazer, no tears, but plenty of sighs. Her lawyer stood. My client was blindsided by her husband's abrupt abandonment. He made no effort to communicate or resolve issues through counseling. He simply decided physical dissatisfaction justified ending the marriage. Then Harris stood, calm, measured. "Your Honor, what my client ended wasn't a marriage. It was a one-sided arrangement where his emotional and physical needs were ignored for months. He did try to communicate. He was dismissed. He suggested counseling. He was mocked. This wasn't impulsive. This was survival." She stared at me the entire time, eyes sharp, jaw tight. The judge ordered a temporary separation, before anything final, that dragged on for months. During that time, people started picking sides. Some friends texted quietly, said they understood, said they'd noticed how distant she'd become. Others sent long messages about marriage, about effort, about not giving up when things get hard. One message stuck with me. "She's devastated, man. She really loves you. But love without effort isn't love. It's comfort." Meanwhile, she started struggling financially. Friends mentioned she'd been complaining about the mortgage. Too much on her own. Still, she told everyone she was fine, that she just needed time, that I'd come back once I cooled off. Apparently, she even told her sister I was having a midlife crisis. I was 33 6 months later. The divorce was finalized. No drama, no fights over things, just done. But life has a way of adding one last scene. Closure, whether you want it or not. It happened on a random Tuesday. I stopped at a coffee shop near work. Just needed something quick before a meeting. Place was quiet, almost empty. I was on my phone waiting for my order when I heard a voice. "Jake." I looked up. Lauren, standing near the entrance, holding a book and a coffee. She looked different, smaller somehow, thinner, tired. That confidence she used to carry was gone. She walked over slowly. "I didn't think I'd run into you." "Yeah," I said. Small city. Silence. Awkward. Heavy. "You look good," she said. "Thanks." She hesitated, then softer. "I've been thinking maybe we could talk. Not about getting back together or anything, just talk." I shrugged slightly. Talking didn't do much last time. She sighed. "I know." Pause. I get it now. Maybe I was too cold, too rigid. I could have been more understanding. Maybe we could try again. I can accommodate what you need." That word. Accommodate. Something in me just shut down. I shook my head. I didn't want to be accommodated, Lauren. I wanted a wife who actually wanted me. She froze, like she had something to say but couldn't find the words. I set my coffee down, looked her straight in the eyes. "You wanted peace. You got it. I'm not part of it anymore." Then I walked out, got into my car, sat there for a minute, not sad, not angry, just relieved. For the first time, I wasn't carrying it anymore. No guilt, no bitterness, just freedom. The kind you feel when you stop waiting for someone to understand something they never will. A year later, life looked completely different. Smaller apartment. Closer to work. I started running again. Started cooking. Mornings felt lighter. No tension, no weight behind every door. And then there was Emma. Met her at a small cookout. Through a mutual friend. She was easy to talk to. No games, no guarded tone, no pretending. Just real, warm, calm. We kept talking, more and more. And somewhere along the way, she became part of my life. With her, everything that used to feel like effort just happened. She'd reach for my hand without thinking, lean into me, nod away, kiss me mid-sentence for no reason. It wasn't about constant physicality. It was about being wanted. And I hadn't realized how starved I was for that until I experienced it again. One night we were lying on the couch, some random movie playing, neither of us paying attention. She shifted closer, rested her head on my chest. "You zone out a lot when you talk about your ex." I laughed quietly. Old habit. Pause. I think I spent a whole marriage trying to figure her out. She looked up at me. "Did you ever get answers?" "Yeah," I said. "They just came too late." She didn't push, didn't dig deeper, just nodded and kissed my hand. That small moment, that quiet understanding. It hit harder than any apology I ever got. For the first time in years, something felt mutual, balanced. But life has its ways. You think a chapter's closed, and then something reminds you, just to make sure. Every few weeks her name would show up online. I didn't follow her, but mutual friends did. Posts would drift across my feed, quotes about men, about sex, about shallow relationships. How hard it is to find a man who values emotional connection. One time she posted, "Men only want you for your body, and when you stop giving it, they act like you're broken." It was like watching someone rewrite history. In real time, I'd scroll past, no reaction, but the comments. Those were something. Preach. You deserve better. Emotionally mature men are rare. And she'd reply with hearts. Like she was the spokesperson for misunderstood wives. Meanwhile, updates trickled in. She's still single. Still ranting. Still doesn't get it. Apparently, she tried dating again. Same outcome every time. Too much pressure. Too many expectations. She'd talk about how exhausting men were. How they always wanted something. Never once asked what she was bringing. Then I heard she started therapy. For a second, I thought maybe she'd changed, but that didn't last. She fired her first therapist after 3 sessions. He said she's afraid of vulnerability, a friend told me. She said he was projecting. Found a new one who agreed with her, validated everything, told her she was right. That man just couldn't handle a woman with boundaries. It was predictable. She'd rather rebuild the story than face her part in it. Sometimes I'd wonder what if she'd listened back then. What if she'd said, "You're right, something's wrong, let's fix it." But that version of her didn't exist anymore, and I wasn't waiting around for it. I didn't hate her. Hate means something still holds power. I just pitied her for never understanding that love isn't relief from someone's presence. It's comfort in it. I turned over, wrapped my arm around Emma, closed my eyes. No replaying conversations, no overthinking, no trying to decode someone who didn't want to be understood. I'd finally stopped chasing silence and calling it peace, because real peace comes from being wanted, not just tolerated. And Lauren, she chose peace over passion, comfort over connection. So I gave her exactly what she asked for, a life without me. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this deserves to blow up and helps bring even more stories like this your way.